What's up,
All
social
right.
gorillas? What's going on? Welcome, welcome. I got a special guest here, Abby Walla. I think her new name, though, is Wabby Holla. A joke I'm
It's
not part
possible.
of, but we'll find out a little bit more. Abby, I know Mackenzie Lieberman, they call her the chatbot queen, but as far as I'm concerned, Abby is my chatbot queen. She was able to make the 10,000 or the 10K club, Dan Henry's 10K club, as a part-time gig. This is not her full-time thing. Her full-time passion is acting, writing, producing. And this is just something that she's, trying to do on the side to bring in supplemental income and have financial freedom so then she can do what her main passion is. But she fell into using chatbots as kind of a workaround, right, for a franchise you were working with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
why don't you tell us a little bit more about you in general, introduce yourself, and then we can go into that. So.
Awesome. So I am an actor, writer, and producer living in Los Angeles. I have always had to have some sort of part-time gig. For those of you who are artists, you get it. When you're working on a script, someone's not necessarily paying you. When I'm working on TV shows, I'm getting paid, but then there's definitely time in between that before your next paying gig. So I've always been trying to find part-time jobs that are not soul-sucking, that still give you freedom of your daily life that I could do working from home or working remotely. So I used to work in customer support for tech companies, which was really great, but you're still kind of tied to that hourly wage. So when you're trying to keep it part-time, you cap out there. So last year I was crowdfunding on Indiegogo, which is similar to Kickstarter, for a film of mine that I wrote, co-wrote, co-produced, and acted in with a great ensemble. And we did this massive crowdfunding campaign. I raised $20,000 in our first day, and then we raised $50,000 over that month. And from there, I started thinking like, okay, there's got to be like a better way for me to be doing some sort of a part-time thing that incorporates it just made me see the potential of making money online, basically. And it also helped that the guy who taught me how to crowdfund was in Dan Henry's course, learning how to do that. So he referred me to Dan. And I took a while before I really jumped in. I was the idea of the potential of having all this income that I could do part-time was really appealing to me, but the idea of sales was not something that I was comfortable with. So it took me a while to really like dive in and commit to it. It took me too long because then by the time I was ready, I had to put it on a credit card because I'd let myself go so broke. And then really dove in, committed to it, and hit the 10K club in about 4 or 5 months. And from there have continued to grow my digital agency. So that's kind of the broad strokes of it.
With the crowdfunding, so right there, just something we want to talk about was mentors. Mm-hmm. So you found somebody that can teach you how to do the crowdfunding. Can you explain what the importance of a mentor, and then what it is that he taught you, just kind of in a high level view?
Yeah, sure. So mentors are something that I have always relied on in every aspect of my life. I've always had acting mentors. I have a writing coach that I work with that I'm jumping on a call with after this. So for crowdfunding, my writing partner and I had we thought maybe we can make something for like $10,000 and we can, Google crowdfunding and learn how to do that. To that extent, we probably have enough family and friends that like us, that they'll donate to that. And then as we started bringing on better people to our project, like high level director, really great DP, which is like the camera, and we realized like the budget kept going up. So they kept going like, oh, I can do this, but we can't make this for $10,000. We have to make this for this much money and this much money. And then all of a sudden it started to be like, okay, we need like $40,000. And we were like, oh shit, we don't know how to do that. So we had heard about this guy, Justin Giddings. He's called the Kickstarter coach, or the Kickstarter guy. Sorry, just totally ruined his name. Justin Giddings, the Kickstarter guy. And he basically was like, I have a proven method. I have a 97% success rate of my campaigns. There is actually like a hard proof way to raise the amount of money that you need to do. And so that was super appealing to me. He had all kinds of like statistics, like, and this is what drew me to him, was he had things like, you basically have to think of how many people you have to expose to your campaign to make the amount of money that you need to make. So it was like only 5% of people that see your link will even click on it. Only 5% of the people that have clicked on your link will actually end up donating. The average donation is about $70 because some people donate 10, a lot of people donate more. So we did the math and we were like, okay, so for the amount of money that we're trying to raise, our campaign has to reach 250,000 people. And so it was like, okay, so now how do you do that? And so then all of his methods were about how do you reach that size audience, but it was working back from this is the number of people that need to see it for you to make that much money. And then you need to then figure out how you're going to reach all of that people. So it involved building up our social media. We did 3 months of preparation for a 1-month campaign. So so we built up our social media. We brought on a team of people that we gave associate producer credits to for them to then get to learn how to crowdfund and tap into their networks. So it wasn't just us, but then we had a team of 7 associate producers who were then going to be reaching their networks. There was a lot of stuff in terms of messing with Facebook's algorithm, in terms of like sharing things from our hub page for our film, and then having all of our associate producers share it from there. So all of a sudden you'd get a post that was shared by 9-10 people at once, and then it's on the top of everybody's newsfeed. So there's a lot of things like that, reaching out via personal email. A big thing that Justin teaches is like personalization is money. So like the more personal we were able to make it, the more people were invested in our project. And then it's a comedy. So a big thing for my producing partner and I was like to actually put out really funny content during this whole thing. So people didn't feel like we were just like desperate, broke actors who needed money, but we were actually like entertaining people. So they were kind of buying into this month-long ridiculous show that we were putting out there. And so that was like a big thing for us. Like when we raised $20,000 on our first day, it like blew our minds. It was Justin's that was like the biggest anyone had ever done as a first day of Justin's clients. And so we had to then like rethink about we had a month-long strategy and we hit half of it in a day. And so we were like, okay, we got to change how we our strategy for the rest of the month. So we came up with this crazy idea. Our film, it's called Holiday Hostage. Do a little plug for my film. It's about a dysfunctional Jewish family held hostage on Thanksgiving. So we came up with this idea for our crowdfunding campaign that if we hit $30,000 by the end of that first weekend, we would let our Jewish mothers set up and run JDate accounts for us, and the dating app. And so people all of a sudden got really into that idea and started donating even more like crazy. Some people donated who had already donated just because they wanted to see us go through this humiliation. So it ended up taking on a life of its own. But it kind of, so it escalated from there. And Dean, you look frozen. Did I lose you? Are you still there?
It's being real choppy on me. I know. I'm like catching every other word. I'm like trying to follow. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Me and my internet connection. Yeah. I should have found a better source.
That's all right. Oh.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just disappeared, huh? Yeah, it shows me still on the live.
I think so.
All right, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to give you the camera. There you go.
Just in case we lose you again. Rob said you're just speechless. You're not frozen. You're just speechless.
Oh, Rob. Yeah, we talked about you right before. So we're going to get you. We're not.
Oh, cool. They're saying they can still hear us. Good. So that was kind of the crowdfunding campaign, is just, reaching as many people as we could and also putting out really entertaining content And the reason why I think it applies to what we're all doing in the entrepreneur side of it is, if you're branding yourself, the kind of content that you put out that's relatable to people is really important. And so knowing your audience and knowing what's relatable for them, I think is really key. And I think that's why I've been able to transition pretty easily into having a digital agency and doing the whole entrepreneur thing, because I've already been doing that, with my career. So I think that's an important thing, is just really knowing your audience and what they respond to.
Right. So I'm kind of going off of hearing every other word on that last one. I hope you guys were able to hear that.
His next question is not going to be related at all to the last question.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Keep Rob gives a smirky face. Give us a hashtag live, guys. If you're watching us live, and just keep throwing it in there if you can hear us. I'm not worried about you not seeing me. Abby's the star here, so as long as you can hear me. So you had to put Dan Henry. So Dan Henry.
Mm-hmm.
He's, I don't even know how to, honestly, he's he's made himself known as the Facebook ads expert. They even had him on TV as such. And I purchased this course, Facebook ads for entrepreneurs, then the 30-day clients, and I'm in the lead owl as well. So I think that course was like $2,000 or $3,000.
I think when I did it, it was $997, because that was about my limit of what I was gonna put on a credit card.
Yeah, so you had to put that on a credit card. So like, the value of reinvesting in yourself, even when you don't think you don't have the funds, or you're not quite sure, but it's just kind of like a leap of faith, and that turns out to produce results. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty powerful. But then so you said you ended up having to go into using chatbots because of the franchise. If you could talk about that. Mm-hmm. Wasn't able to use landing pages. So explain like kind of the inner workings of that. Why not? If you can name the franchise or give us an idea of what the franchise does, maybe not necessarily their name, and the rules, and then how you thought of chatbots and where you went from there, getting Mackenzie on board.
For sure. So when I was going out trying to get clients, I was basically using every method I could think of, in terms of asking friends for referrals, doing cold calls, cold emails, all of, just basically everything. Because as I said, I put this on a credit card. I needed it to work. And I wasn't going to stop until it did work. So through that, a friend had referred me to a cryotherapy franchise. And I went in, and they already had somebody running their ads, but they weren't necessarily happy with how it was going, or they didn't really have a lot of tracking in terms of the success of it. But they were interested in doing a trial. And I know a lot of people talk about don't do free trials, but I did free trials. And basically my goal was to be able to show them that my method was better than what they already had going on, and that we could track it. And it was going to be, my dog is now starting to chew up a box. Anyway, he likes to do it when I'm on a call. Specifically, I think he knows right. I'm on a call, and then is like, I'm going to chew up this box. So when I went in, they were like, I had learned ClickFunnels from Dan's course, and he was like, and I went into the franchise, and they said, well, we can't do landing pages. It's against our franchise rules, because I think the idea is they want to have their own branding and all of that stuff. They don't want it going to somebody else's page. So I had been hearing about chatbots and kind of looking into them to an extent, but hadn't had a chance to learn them yet. And so I said, well, there's this thing called chatbots, and I can make one for you, even though I didn't know how at the moment. And I was like, so let me figure that out, and then we can do this free trial. Everything stays within Facebook, so you don't go against franchise rules, but we can still do a lead generation campaign. So And by the way, there were multiple franchises that I had talked to in all my cold calling. I was focusing a lot on like gyms and things like that, health and wellness. And a lot of gyms had the same rules where they couldn't do landing pages. So so I had looked into Mackenzie's course and Mackenzie Lieberman, the bot queen, and it looked amazing. But I was like, I can't watch all these videos and learn how to do this in a matter of 2 days, which was like my timeline. So I reached out to Mackenzie, and she was willing to do a couple one-on-one sessions with me to help me get started. So I had looked through as much of her free content as I could and kind of started building out what I thought looked right on Manychat. And then she hopped on, did screen share with me, and basically helped me get my first bot set up. From there, I had such a successful time with that. My trial went so well. They brought me on as a paid retainer, and then they started referring me to everybody, to the rest of the franchises, and then also people without the franchises. So just like other businesses that they knew, and it kind of snowballed from there. And so just from taking that action of being like, sure, I can learn how to do chatbots, it really snowballed, and then that became like the distinguishing factor for my agency, was that I was able to go into places that maybe already had somebody doing it, but I was doing something different. Because right now, a lot of people are doing Facebook ads, or a lot of people say they can do Facebook ads. And somebody knows me from a YouTube video. I hope not like my demo reel or something. Made from Dan Henry's.
Dan Ham. Dan Ham. I'm not sure. Dan Ham knows.
Awesome. So from there, I really became branded as a digital agency specializing in chatbots. And I love them. Like, I still have ClickFunnels, but I barely use it. I use chatbots for all of my campaigns. And for me personally, it's more intuitive because I like setting up that conversation between the leads and the bot. It sounds weird, but I guess because I come from like a writing creative background, that's more organic to me than coming up with a landing page. So what is wrong? Who's YouTube? Yeah, what YouTube video? So chatbots has been really great for me, and I feel like there's just so much that you're able to do in them. Like, you're not just collecting their information, but you're starting a conversation. It feels very personal. It keeps that social aspect of what people are on Facebook for. Like, they're not on Facebook to buy stuff. They're on Facebook to look at pictures of their families, dogs and babies and whatever. So the more that you're able to keep that social experience going for them, and being on a chatbot feels like you're talking to somebody if you do it right, that keeps that social experience going. And so I've had way better success with that than I have with landing pages. Maybe I'm just not good at landing pages, but bots have really become key for me. And one of my biggest clients is a recruiting company, and I was able to go in. They already had a whole marketing team, and I was able to go in with chatbots and change the way that they were doing things, and like cut their cost per acquisition down to a third within a month just by running bots, because people are just so much more responsive to it. And it's still very new, and so there's a lot of changes happening, and sometimes it's glitchy, but for the most part, it's been amazing. Uh-oh, I think we lost Dean again. Oh no, I'm having an interview with myself. Guys, ask me questions.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I'm like, the people watching ask questions, so in case Dean can't.
Freezing up.
Michelle says great bots are completely transparent. Yeah, she doesn't realize she's talking to one until she says something that's not on script. Totally. I've had that experience as well.
Yeah, and part of what helped you, like you said, was that being a writer, you had that experience and being able to have. So when you run a chatbot,
Dean. This is going to be such a funny thing to watch back. I can't. Can anyone else hear Dean? We might have lost him. Dean says he's still here. Dean, type your question. I can't hear it. Thank you, Michelle. If anyone else has any questions, take them from the audience. Yao, you're back. I saw you.
This is awesome.
I saw you wrote your question. So when I run a chat,
all right, guys. If you can hear us, we're gonna log off and try this again.
Oh, are we? I can see you.
See here. Oh my goodness.
All right.
It still shows.
All right, guys.
Live.
We'll be right back. I'm gonna.
It's fine now. Don't break it again, Michelle says.
Yeah. We'll be right back. Gonna start a new broadcast.
All right.
Check you out in a minute.